Hi, I'm Austin Eartham. Welcome to the Kitchen Table Podcast. I'm here to motivate, educate, and relate to you guys, sharing my stories, helping you get 1% better in all areas of your life. Welcome to episode 126. Looking forward to spending some time with you guys today and sharing my thoughts from the previous week. A lot of good thoughts. I always get excited when I have kind of unique or new thoughts to share that might shed some light into what I'm dealing with and hopefully give you guys an idea of what's going on and help you to relate it to your own life. So if you're new here, what we do is we have a quote of the week, and then we have where I saw God this past week, and we end with what I have learned this week or what I've been working on and how I'm going to have it benefit me and get 1% better this next week and beyond, and hopefully, like I just said, relate it to you guys. And so you can get 1% better and we can all hopefully get closer to reaching our true potential. There's no topic that is necessarily off limits. And let me know what you think in the comments. So without further ado, here we go. Quote of the week this week is something that my dad sent me on our daily quote sending. I really like it because I was literally watering the grass when I got it. And it says, "I'm too busy working on my own grass to notice if yours is greener." Right, and that's by an unknown person. One more time here. "I'm too busy working on my own grass to know whether yours is greener." What that means to me is obviously if we water the grass, it gets greener, right? Greener grass, more lush, looks better, it's healthier, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of times we want ours to match somebody else's or have their life. Like, oh, look at their life. It's so good, especially on social media where everybody's life is good. I was working with the kicker the other day, and I told him that I haven't seen anybody ever miss on social media. Everybody's always doing their best kick ever. But in reality, is that could have taken 4, 5, 6 times to record to actually get it done correctly. I know I've done that before. But if you're working on yourself, we're trying to get better in multiple areas of our own life, and we're focused on that, and we're excited about what we have in the works and the process and how far we've come and where we want to go, and we're going to continue to work to get there. Then we don't have time to notice other people's good fortune or trauma, and we just live our own life and accept the fact that it always starts with acceptance. Really, accept the fact that this is the cards I've been dealt, or these are the cards I've been dealt. How do I make the most of them, right? I would love to get a tattoo that has, so I have like this thing right on my wrist here. It's kind of backwards to you guys, but it's John 14:13, and I would love, you guys can look that verse up. I would love to get some like hearts, clubs, spades, and diamonds. And you can even get a two little card thing that reminds you to play the cards that you've been dealt. Because everybody's different, and that's one thing I wrote down this week is that. So it's funny because I was doing a workout, right? So I wrote this down to specifically know that I put this on here. So I put workout here. So full body is going to be the hardest workout. Like if you do a CrossFit thing, so they were talking about what would be the hardest CrossFit Games workout. If you had one workout to do, what would show total fitness? And the person who runs the games, Dave Castro, said that I would do some sort of running, like a 400-meter run with 10 to 12 thrusters at a light to moderate weight. For games athletes, probably want to make that more moderate. Probably like 155 to 185 instead of 135 or 115. And then some sort of gymnastics, like a muscle up maybe. And do 10 to 12 of those as well. And some of those are full body movements, thrusters. So you do a full squat and then you push it up, push a bar or a dumbbell above your head. Things like rowing uses 84% of your muscles. The assault bike, you have to move your arms and move your legs at the same time. That's using a lot of muscles and gets into your core a lot. My workout that I was doing dealt with kettlebell swings, and it was supposed to be a run, but I changed it to a row. So I'm fatiguing my whole body with the kettlebell swings, and I'm fatiguing my whole body again, especially the midline with the rowing. So it gets old, and I was thinking like what the workout was basically I changed it to 40, 30, 20, 10 with the 500-meter row at each one. So it's 40 kettlebell swings at 70 pounds. Then you do a 500-meter row. Then you do 30 kettlebell swings at 70 pounds. Then you do a 500-meter row. Each row is just under 2 minutes roughly. And then kettlebell swings, I think it took like a minute and a half to do 40. I think 2 seconds per one. So about 80 seconds. If you don't have to stop in between. And I was like, I'll just get through them and we'll be done because I'm pretty good at kettlebell swings. And the second round, I had to stop for 10 seconds. And the third round, I had to stop for 10 seconds. And then the last round, I didn't want to pick the weight up right away. So it took an extra breath. So it's probably 3 seconds. So I probably lost almost 30 seconds doing that. And I was like, I'll just bust through it and we'll be done. And it was a lot more challenging than I thought because of taxing the whole body. And what I thought about is it really, the biggest defeat, I wrote this down, the biggest defeat is going as hard as you can and others still pass you. Like that's really defining fitness. And there's no way to just be like a video game and put it on easy level and just be the best all of a sudden, right? It takes a huge process, it takes a lot of watering in that grass. And it's just super defeating. Like there's on one hand, it's one thing to like not try your best and just get beat. It's another hand to like doing your very best and your best just isn't good enough. And there's one thing kind of in the middle of that is you're going as hard as you can, but you're either not there in fitness yet or whatever it is and whatever your situation is, or you realize that's just, you're not going to probably reach the best, right? So I've always wanted to be the best at something, whether it's I win the CrossFit Games, or at the time when I was younger, score the game-winning goal in the World Cup for the United States, be the one to do that. It was be considered the best kicker of all time, right? Now it's turning into like psychology, and do we want to be a big fish in a little pond, or do we want to right now be a little fish in a big pond, right? So how do we find that balance? And so what I wrote down that I want to get to that's super important is, so I wrote, where do I fit in this equation? Okay, so the question is, everyone has a calling, right? But not everyone is called to be the best. Some people are called to be a really good mother. Some people are called to be the best assistant accountant at the firm, or somebody's assistant, whatever that is to make the world go round. I'm not sure that is my calling. So working on what the calling is, but I do think there's steps along the way with the sports background, the teaching, the mental side of things. It's all growing towards something. What that is, I'm not sure yet. I like to think I know what it is, but I really don't. And that's somewhat in God's hands. But what's one of the reasons I saw God this week is trying to figure out like where I fit, who am I, that kind of stuff. And that self-reflection is super important. But I know the track is right. It's just a matter of staying on that track and keep learning as we go. Let me think here. So I go one last thing, and I'll cut this. So the one other thing I saw is Pat McAfee's going back on the College Game Day, and he's literally self-revolutionized his what it is to be a specialist, right? Punters are cool now. He's kind of like talked it all up. He's having the best life. You watch this highlight film he made, his life just looks wild. It looks awesome, crazy, right? He gets to spend time with his best friends, gets to make a lot of money, gets to travel around, doing what he loves to do now post-football, and bringing light to a position that he was very good at and enjoyed. All right, so it's easy to see his grasp and be like, yeah, that's what I want to do. But he also wasn't that happy in the NFL. His true calling is to kind of put the journalism world upside down and him do his talking. So that was a good reminder of, hey, that's his grasp, one, and two, what you think might be the calling might not be it, and continue to work towards whatever that is. So I thought that was really cool to realize. Let's see here. What else I wrote down this week for where I saw God this week is kind of just realizing some things I talked about last week. And I'm going to kind of go through it here. And I have one more thing I saw God as well. So something I thought about is life is really, so this is why the title is what it is. Life is kind of like golf, right? So I was watching the British Open the other week, and one of the tee boxes, it's literally raining, 40-mile-an-hour wind, and looks miserable. And the tee box, you can see obviously the pros are on the furthest one back. And on the tee box, it's like 600 some yards. And it just looks devastating. You miss it, just huge grass. There's big bunkers that you basically just have to go sideways out of. And the weather obviously is not ideal. And these are the best players in the world. And granted, they all said that the play was fair, or the course was fair. It made it hard. It was hard. And that's what life is. So hey, life is really hard sometimes. So when you're standing on the tee box and you're looking 600 yards down the course, hopefully you're visualizing your shot. It's really hard to visualize positive in that moment, not going to lie. But a lot of golf, you do well, you don't do well. It's up and down a lot, right? If I just had one more good shot, I would have had a better round. Of course, that's what life is. But you're also solving those problems along the way. Okay, how do I play the wind? Okay, do I have to change clubs based on the wind and the rain? Where are my hazards at? What club am I confident in? So you're constantly solving problems, and it seems your goals that you're trying to reach seem super far when you're 600 yards away. But after you hit that first one and now you're only 300 yards away, it's a lot more manageable, right? So you can take piece by piece by solving different problems, and then you solve another problem, right? Then you hit the next shot. If you don't do well, okay, how do you solve that problem? Then you get closer, right? So if you hit in the bunker and you got to go sideways, sometimes you take a step back to go forward again. So life is super. This is why I like golf. It rationalizes me paying money to do it. Life really is like a game of golf, and reaching your goals is definitely like a game of golf. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel sometimes, but if you constantly solve problem after problem, at some point you'll get a big break. And I think I'm learning part of my big breaks here the last couple summers where I have time to think. And again, the reason I saw God this week was I didn't think I was going to make very much money or have very many things to do this summer kicking wise, and it's been one of the best summers I've ever had. And some of that is just right place, right time. Some of that is people kind of know what I'm doing. And it's just that building that business, right? It starts slow and then you kind of go down. You're like, oh, is this worth it? Or what happens if I don't have these sessions? And then they take off. So it's super cool to have that. And I'm excited about that. Still a long ways to go. But just knowing that there will be a time where transition switches, and then it's okay, how do you keep it up? How do you continuously get better to go to the top of your food chain, which we're definitely not there yet. So we're going to keep working on that. And again, that goes back to the previous part of what that path might be. Mental game this week. A couple things I want to talk about for the mental game. Number one is George Kittle and receiver using positive self-talk a lot, even in difficult times. So if you haven't seen Receiver on Netflix, go look that up. Look at George Kittle. It's mainly episodes 4, 5, and 6 that talk to him about that. And there's some breathing exercises, some visualization as well. Super cool to see. Again, top athletes using it, so you should too. And then the other thing I saw this week is it's called BEST. So it's an acronym, BEST. It'd be a great thing to use for teams. And it stands for Building Excellence Solidifies Trust. I told a kicker the other day, what coaches want of you is to know what they're going to get out of you, right? They want that consistency. So if we build that excellence, we continuously have those habits, we're more likely to solidify that trust. If we solidify trust, then obviously our confidence is going to grow both as a player-coach relationship and individually. And if that can happen across the team, that's going to improve climate and culture, which is going to eventually lead to not only people finding their best optimal performance and the team being better, but lead to wins, which is what coaches and players ultimately play the game for, besides it being fun, obviously. So I was thinking about that kind of stuff. And then I thought, okay, well, what else did I learn this week? And I'm trying to work on a couple more things for the business that we'll get into, like I said, more in 2025. But I was working on a couple of things, and it's really hard because I saw some things last week, like I said, in CrossFit, that I found this WOD science thing. I was doing things right, and then they kind of had a contradictory post that I saw earlier today. But bottom line is, workouts, trying to find the optimal or best workout. There isn't one for somebody, right? It's all trial and error. I was looking back at all my workouts I've ever had that I kept, and there's a little bit of everything in there. So I tried to make kind of the best athlete tracker for the year, I suppose. And one thing I learned is that working out should be really simple, right? But all of a sudden you get into the skill stuff and you get into the different situations, and programming becomes simple but very complicated, right? So what is the best method? I don't know. Should we try this, try that? Done them all. A lot of times we teach what we've learned. So I'm just going to put them all up at the gym someday, but I want to learn how to program not only for myself, but I want to learn how to program for a variety of others, and basically have tracks that match that. And it's super fun. It's like naming ski runs. Those are so cool to name, I think. So I have Knowledge Summit is my favorite one, but it's only a single black, but inside family joke for that one. But anyways, so working out can be very complicated, but it should also be simple. It's really easy to get a workout with just your body weight, right? Do some run, do some burpees, do some abs, right? If you want to gain some muscle, simply just do your squats, deadlifts. If you want to be an athlete, do cleans and snatches, plus those other two. So there's a variety of movements, but I want to learn how to put all those together and help create athletes. But again, knowing your athletes will help that come to fruition a little bit more. Last thing I want to talk about is just some generalized things that I learned this week. Schools are starting to do more policies on cell phones, which I think is personally great. I know I see both ways, right? There's scariness because what if I need to get a hold of my son or daughter? What if there's an emergency at school, that kind of stuff. And I encourage people to see both sides of the equation, the good and the bad, and ultimately just do the right thing over and over. Just keep your phone in your backpack, and you can have it on, but not be on it when you're not supposed to be. It's a pretty simple concept just to follow it. That way it's best of both worlds for teachers and students. And also I see all these, I don't know, I need to stop doing it. I go to these comments on Facebook and Instagram, and people are just so uneducated. So I encourage you to do something. All the top people in the world and CEOs, they're doing their research. They're reaching out to people they know before they're making an effort to say something or do something in that matter for their business. So let's try to mimic the best people in the world, do our research, do our homework, learn about the situation, and then act from there. And the last thing that I want to talk about is, yes, Biden dropped out of the race. And something that was really interesting to me and gains my respect is he did what was truly best for America. He probably wasn't going to make it. We'll see if he would make it living another 4 years, in my opinion. And it's hard to, from a sports psychology perspective, it's hard to drop out, especially when you have kind of the beef with personal items. But overall, that's what our democracy is really about, and that's what our president and congressmen are supposed to do, men and women, and do what's best for our country. And I think Biden truly did that. So I respect that, and kudos to him for that. And really, again, that just shows what true. I don't like either of them picks, to be honest with you. I think that RFK is somewhat right in saying, again, I'm not a big political guy, but I see RFK saying how we are in World War III because BlackRock, who owns this, who decides this. It's not a war that we are having, but the money that we are using is help to feed or to create more animosity towards other countries or division within ourselves. So we're at a really critical time in our lives right now, and we're going to look back again. Think about what's happened since 2019, 2018, going through COVID and different wars in the eastern part of the world. Obviously, inflation now and the economy going great and then changing, and people not having kids anymore. And it's just going to be technology, for instance, AI, chip shortages, that kind of stuff. Everything's changing. Electric vehicles, everything's totally changing. Smartwatches and more gadgets, the technology and working out and tech in general. Look at the stock market since 2018. It's ridiculous. Crypto, so the metaverse, everything is totally going to change. The wildfires that's been going on in the past 6 to 8 years. We're going to look back and we're going to be like, wow, this was a time period in life that was like one of those crazy time periods, and we're living in it, and there's a lot of change. So again, that 10% that happens to you, we got to go with the flow. We got to get ahead of the flow, really, in order to be successful. And we got to take some self-reflection in order to fit the mold that we are supposed to be. So I'll leave you with that, and catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening. A little bit longer this time, but catch you guys later. Love you. Bye.